So, Star Wars games are in a pretty weird spot at the moment, in my opinion, and while I don't want to say they are dead at all, because that's just not true, but it is starting to feel like the fan base is starting to go away day by day. And this is something I was worried about really ever since they announced the end of support for Battlefront 2, because, you know, Battlefront 2 was the flagship game for Star Wars games. Yes, Fallen Order was absolutely amazing. I love that game. It had an amazing story, but at the end of the day, it was a story-driven game, which is great, and I love those. But, you know, there wasn't much playability, or replayability, I should say, after you completed the game. Yes, they did make an update recently that added that wave mode and stuff, which is fun and all. That is just chaotic and fun, but that is not gonna keep the player base alive for a very long time. You know, you'll probably play it for a few weeks or so, and then move on to something else, which is perfectly fine, because the game isn't meant to be a long-standing game. However, when it comes to Battlefront 2, this by far was the most popular game EA has made since they got the Star Wars license. The Battlefront series has by far the most loyal fan base, and whenever what happens, you know, you just lose a lot of that momentum that EA, I believe, had going with them with the Star Wars license, because, you know, obviously the fans, we were all pretty disappointed whenever, you know, the loot box system, and I don't have to go over it, because that was just a very bad situation, and we all kind of felt betrayed by it, because, you know, we trusted you guys with this license, and then you just did this, and you're treating us like, you know, it's a gambling machine. It was a huge mess, but then EA decided that they are going to do what they can to fix this situation, and to fix their sort of relationship with this fan base, because we all know Star Wars fans are very serious when it comes to Star Wars. It's very personal to a lot of them, which is completely fine. But then after they decided to cut off support for Battlefront 2, which would have been fine if it weren't for what the reason was that they cut off support. So the reason is they moved all the developers at DICE Stockholm into one new game project, which is of course Battlefield 6. Now, I'm no hater of the Battlefield series. I don't play it personally. It's not that I dislike it. It's just not the game for me, you know, which is completely fine. And Battlefield 5, I heard, was a letdown to a lot of players. A lot of people did not like it. It did not seem popular at all. And so I just think the fact that they are continuing the Battlefield series over a Star Wars Battlefront series that's pretty absurd to me. I just don't understand that at all. I mean, you have a group of super intelligent, super, you know, Star Wars nerds working for you in DICE in Stockholm, because, I mean, look at the amazing details that these people put into Battlefront. It's absolutely insane. There's so many things and so many little details that I didn't even know existed in the Star Wars universe, but they did, so they added it into the game. And like I said, you just have this group of very passionate people when it comes to Star Wars, and now they're kind of being forced to go work on Battlefield, which of course they're going to enjoy doing that. They are game developers at the end of the day, but I just think it is a missed opportunity for a Battlefront 3, and I'm not going to get into that because, you know, we all want a Battlefront 3, but it really comes down to the fact that I don't think EA Star Wars are handling the license as well as they probably should be or could be. And that's really what this video is about. You know, if it were me, now I'm no, like, CEO of anything. Obviously, Andrew Wilson probably knows a lot more than what I'm talking about, so I'm not going to sit here and act like I should be CEO of EA and all that. But theoretically, if I was, you know, the owner of EA, something insane like that, what I personally would do, and now I'm a little bit biased because I'm obviously a pretty big Star Wars fan, but I would have an entire studio dedicated to making Star Wars games only. And I'm not talking about a current studio like Stockholm or, you know, EA LA, I believe they have one there, and all the other ones. I would literally create an entire new studio, and I would probably build it in Stockholm simply because that is where the DICE developers of Battlefront 2 live. And so, you know, I would, you know, move all of them and branch them over into this new, you know, theoretical studio in Stockholm, Sweden, and they would literally basically be the start of the new LucasArts 2.0, you know? LucasArts was a huge deal when it comes to Star Wars games back in the day, and while they didn't make all the games, they were sort of the head when it comes to them. And so I just really wish EA would open their eyes to this. Now, of course, they did say they are going to, quote, double down on Star Wars games. And, you know, I was watching Swanee Plays Games. He was doing some podcasts, and he made a really good point. You know, I don't agree with him on everything, but he did make a very good point. He's like, why weren't they doing this at the beginning? You know, did they not understand how big the Star Wars franchise is? And there's just so much opportunity that they have been missing out on. Now, I have always been saying quality over quantity. That's something that I 100% agree on. But at this point, with how much talent they have and how many resources, I do feel there should be more quantity when it comes to Star Wars games than we have gotten since they have received the license to it. And you know what, if they are being true with what they're saying and they are actually going to double down with the Star Wars license, then that is absolutely good news, and I will be very grateful for that. You know, it's one of those deals where we're just gonna have to wait and see, because their license or their current contract with Disney and Lucasfilm is set to expire in 2023, and a lot of people, including myself, believe that that will get renewed. Now, me personally, I think it's going to get renewed, but it's going to be a different contract. So basically, they're not going to have, you know, exclusive rights to the Star Wars license. I think they are going to branch out either to like 2 more studios or 2 more companies. I think that that would make the most sense, because right now it just feels like we're very left in the dark right now, and obviously there is going to be a future with Star Wars games. That just is impossible to not be true, because it's such a huge franchise, and if EA just decides to stop making games, obviously Disney and Lucasfilm, they can just cut off that contract when it expires and then give it to someone else who they feel is more deserving of it. But if EA is being true with what they're saying and more Star Wars games are on the way than they were before, then I am very happy with that, and I can't wait to see what they have. But for now, I am staying pretty content with it. You know, it's one of those things, like I said, where we're just gonna have to wait and see, because they've said that before, I've heard, with other deals and other franchises and stuff, and it just didn't become true. So I'm really hoping that Andrew Wilson and the rest of the head up in the corporate EA have seen the potential for Star Wars games and do see the opportunities that come with them and that come with their developers. But that's just pretty much my thoughts on everything. Go ahead and let me know in the comments down below what you guys think about this. You know, do you want EA Star Wars to get their license renewed? Or would you want it the way I said it, where, you know, we think it's going to get renewed, but also it's going to be branched out to other studios and other gaming companies as well? Just go ahead and let me know. But hopefully we get some good Star Wars gaming news coming soon. Like I said, Squadrons, I'm very excited about. But I do feel, since it is a smaller project, it's not going to have much longevity of it. So I think if they would have continued Battlefront 2 support, then it would have been totally okay. But because they decided to not do that, we are in a sort of weird situation right now that I personally am not happy with. But go ahead and let me know again in the comments down below what you guys think about everything. I hope you all did enjoy this video. As always, if you did, be sure and leave a like on it, as it really helps out the channel a lot. And if you're new, subscribe for more Star Wars news, gameplay, and more. And I'll hopefully see you all in the next one.